The first transmission from the Zelanian Empire arrived on a Tuesday. Ambassador Helena Voss remembered that detail because she'd been drinking her morning coffee when the alien message tore through Earth's communication networks like a blade through silk. "Your species will submit," the voice declared in perfect English, though it carried an odd harmonic quality that made her teeth ache. "The Zelanian Empire has claimed this star system. Your compliance is expected within 72 hours. Helena set down her coffee cup with trembling hands. 27 years of diplomatic service, and she'd never heard anything quite so matter-of-fact about the potential enslavement of humanity. The alien on the screen stood nearly 8 feet tall, with crystalline skin that reflected light in prismatic patterns. 4 arms moved with fluid precision as it gestured, and its 6 eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern around its elongated head never blinked. "I am Dominator Kylex of the Third Fleet," the being continued. "We have observed your primitive civilization with amusement. Your resistance would be inadvisable." The transmission ended there, leaving the United Nations Emergency Council staring at blank screens. General Marcus Stone broke the silence first. "How many ships?" "Preliminary scans show 43 vessels in high orbit," reported Admiral Chen from the Space Force Command Center. "Each one is approximately 2 kilometers long. Our largest warship is 300 meters. Helena felt the weight of those numbers. Earth's combined military forces included roughly 800 active spacecraft, but most were designed for patrol duties and asteroid mining operations. They'd never expected to face an alien armada. "Options?" asked Secretary General Williams, though his voice suggested he already knew the answer. "We can't match their technology," Admiral Chen admitted. "Their energy signatures are off our charts. One of their smaller escort ships could probably destroy our entire lunar defense grid." "So we surrender?" The question came from Dr. Sarah Kim, Earth's chief xenobiologist. "Just like that?" General Stone's jaw tightened. "Never. General, this isn't about pride," Helena said carefully. "This is about survival. If we can negotiate—" "You want to negotiate with beings who just announced our enslavement?" Stone's voice carried decades of military authority. "Ambassador, with all due respect, some threats can't be talked away." The debate continued for 6 hours. Helena argued for diplomatic contact, while Stone advocated for immediate military preparation. The scientists wanted more time to study the alien technology. The politicians wanted public opinion polls. The decision was made for them when the Zelanian ships opened fire. Colony ships had been humanity's pride for the past 40 years. Massive vessels designed to carry 20,000 people each to distant star systems, they represented the future of human expansion. The Hope of Terra carried families bound for Proxima Centauri. New Horizon held scientists and engineers headed for the Wolf 359 system. Freedom's Light transported colonists to Gliese 667c. The alien weapons hit all 3 ships simultaneously. Helena watched the feeds from the observation satellites, helpless as beams of coherent energy tore through the colony vessels like they were made of paper. 20,000 people on each ship, 60,000 human beings, including 8,000 children, dead in less than 30 seconds. "They didn't even target military assets," Admiral Chen whispered. "They went for civilians." General Stone's face had gone completely white. Those were families, kids on their first trip to the stars. Helena felt something cold settle in her stomach. "They're sending a message. This is what happens if we don't comply." The second transmission arrived 6 hours later. Dominator Kylex appeared on screen again, but this time Helena noticed something different in its posture. Was that amusement? Satisfaction? "Your colony vessels were eliminated to demonstrate our resolve," the alien said. "Perhaps now you understand the futility of resistance. You have 48 hours remaining to signal your surrender." 48 hours, Secretary General Williams repeated when the transmission ended. "What do we do?" Helena looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leadership. Fear, anger, desperation, all perfectly reasonable responses. But something else was building behind General Stone's eyes, something that made her nervous. "General?" Williams prompted. Stone stood slowly, his movements precise and controlled. "Mr. Secretary General, I'd like to place a call to Camp Lejeune." "The Marines? General, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about a promise we made after the Mumbai incident 20 years ago." Stone's voice carried a weight Helena didn't understand. "We swore that no one would ever again target civilian populations without consequence, not terrorists, not rogue nations." He paused, looking directly at the screen where Kylex's image had been. "And definitely not alien empires." Helena frowned. "General, 60,000 people are dead. We're facing technology centuries ahead of our own. What exactly do you think the Marines can accomplish?" "What they always accomplish, Ambassador. The mission." "Which is?" "Making the other guy regret his choices." The call to Camp Lejeune connected General Stone to Colonel James Reaper Davidson, commander of the 1st Force Reconnaissance Company. Helena had heard stories about Davidson, a 30-year veteran who'd earned his nickname during the Europa mining wars for his uncanny ability to eliminate threats that others couldn't even find. "Colonel, we have a situation," Stone began, then briefed Davidson on the alien attack. The line was quiet for several seconds after Stone finished. When Davidson spoke, his voice carried the kind of calm certainty that Helena associated with career soldiers. "Sir, how many ships did you say they have?" 43 confirmed. "And they killed 60,000 civilians?" "Including 8,000 children." Another pause. "General, I'll need authorization for Operation Prometheus protocols." Helena leaned forward. She'd never heard that designation before. "What are Prometheus protocols?" General Stone glanced at her, then back at the communications screen. "Classified, Ambassador. Colonel, you have authorization for whatever you need." "Understood, sir. My team will be ready in 72 hours. "Colonel, we only have 48 hours before their deadline." "Then we'd better hope they don't wait for our surrender before they make their next mistake." Helena spent the next day trying to understand what Stone and Davidson were planning. The general had classified everything above her security level, which was unprecedented for a diplomatic emergency. All she could learn was that Marine assets were being repositioned throughout the solar system. The third transmission from the Zalanian Empire arrived exactly 48 hours after the first. Dominator Kylex appeared more impatient this time, its crystalline features reflecting harsh light as it spoke. "Your compliance period has expired. We detect no surrender signal from your government. This resistance will be corrected." This time, the aliens targeted Luna City. The moon's primary settlement housed nearly 200,000 people in a sprawling complex of underground habitats and surface installations. The Zalanian ships focused their fire on the residential sectors first, their energy beams carving through the protective domes like they were soap bubbles. Helena watched the feeds in horror as sections of the city vented atmosphere into space. Emergency alerts flooded the communication networks as rescue teams scrambled to reach trapped civilians. The death toll climbed steadily. 5,000, then 10,000, then 20,000. "They're targeting population centers again," Admiral Chen reported, his voice hollow, "just like the colony ships." "How many dead?" Secretary General Williams asked. "Preliminary estimates suggest 45,000 casualties," Dr. Kim said quietly. "The residential sectors took the worst damage." Helena felt sick. Over 100,000 human beings dead in 3 days, and the aliens hadn't even bothered to demand surrender terms. They were simply demonstrating their power to kill. "General," Williams said slowly, "perhaps it's time to consider—" "No." Stone's voice cut through the room like a blade. "Mr. Secretary General, we don't negotiate with mass murderers." This isn't about pride anymore, General. They've declared war. Stone stood from his chair, and now they're about to learn why that was a mistake. Helena turned to face him. General, what exactly are you planning? Justice, Ambassador. The alert came through an hour later on General Stone's personal communication device. Helena watched him read the message, saw his expression shift from grim determination to something that might have been satisfaction. What is it? Williams asked. Stone looked up at the assembled leadership of Earth's government. Colonel Davidson reports that Prometheus assets are in position. General, I demand to know what these Prometheus protocols entail, Helena said firmly. Stone was quiet for a moment, considering. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of military tradition. Ambassador, 50 years ago, the United States Marine Corps made a promise. No matter how far humanity spread among the stars, no matter what we faced out there, Marines would be the first to fight and the last to retreat. The Prometheus protocols are how we keep that promise when facing enemies with superior technology. Which means what? Exactly. It means we don't have to match their technology to beat them. Stone's smile was cold. We just have to be better Marines than they are soldiers. The first Zilanian ship died at 0347 hours, ship time. Helena was in the Situation Room when the sensor readings came through, showing a massive explosion where one of the alien escort vessels had been positioned. What happened? Admiral Chen demanded from the sensor technicians. Unknown, sir. The ship just exploded. Enemy fire? Negative. No energy signatures from other ships. It just detonated from the inside. Helena frowned. Could it have been an accident? Some kind of mechanical failure? General Stone consulted his communication device. Negative, Ambassador. That was no accident. How can you be sure? Because Colonel Davidson just reported the completion of his first objective. Before Helena could ask what that meant, another Zilanian ship exploded, then a third. In the span of 20 minutes, 7 alien vessels were destroyed, each one detonating from within. Dominator Kylex's fourth transmission carried a different tone. The alien's crystalline features reflected light in agitated patterns, and its harmonic voice held something Helena had never heard before. Uncertainty. Unknown weapons have damaged several vessels of the Third Fleet, Kylex announced. This primitive trickery will not be tolerated. Any further attacks will result in the complete sterilization of your planet. The transmission ended, leaving Earth's leadership staring at each other in amazement. How? Dr. Kim asked. How did we destroy 7 of their ships? General Stone smiled. We didn't destroy them, Doctor. We convinced them to destroy themselves. I don't understand. Colonel Davidson's team specializes in infiltration and sabotage. They've been training for scenarios like this since the Prometheus protocols were established. Helena felt a chill run down her spine. You mean we have people aboard those ships? Marines, Ambassador, and they're doing what Marines do best. Which is? Improvising solutions to impossible problems. The reality of what Stone was telling her began to sink in. Human Marines had somehow boarded alien ships that were technologically centuries ahead of anything Earth could produce. They'd infiltrated vessels protected by energy shields and weapons that could obliterate entire cities. How is that even possible? She asked. Ambassador, Marines have been boarding enemy vessels since before we had spacecraft. The basic principles haven't changed much. Stone's expression grew serious. What has changed is the stakes. These aliens killed 60,000 civilians in the first attack, then 45,000 more in the second. That's not warfare, that's genocide. So this is revenge? No, Ambassador, this is justice. The next 18 hours transformed Helena's understanding of human capability. Marine teams aboard the alien vessels began transmitting intelligence back to Earth, and the picture that emerged was both encouraging and terrifying. The Zalanian Empire was vast, spanning dozens of star systems and hundreds of worlds. They'd conquered 47 different species over the past 3 centuries, always following the same pattern: overwhelming technological superiority combined with targeted attacks on civilian populations to break resistance quickly. But they'd never faced anything like human Marines. Colonel Davidson's teams discovered that the aliens' greatest strength was also their weakness. Their technology was so advanced that they'd become completely dependent on it. Zalanian warriors were essentially technicians who operated weapons and systems they barely understood. Marines, on the other hand, were trained to fight with whatever they could find. The aliens have never encountered enemies who could adapt this quickly, General Stone explained to the Emergency Council. They're used to overwhelming technological advantages deciding battles before they begin. But how are our people even surviving aboard those ships? Helena asked. Training, Ambassador, and the fact that these aliens have never developed effective anti-personnel security measures. Why would they? They've never needed to worry about boarding actions. The destruction of Zalanian ships accelerated as Davidson's teams learned the alien systems. By the end of the second day, 23 of the 43 vessels had been eliminated from within. Dominator Kylex's final transmission carried a note of desperate anger. The alien's crystalline features now reflected light in chaotic patterns, and its harmonic voice cracked with what sounded like panic. This violation of accepted warfare will not stand, Kylex declared. The Zalanian Empire will send a full battle fleet to cleanse this system of your species. Will they? Helena asked General Stone after the transmission ended. Probably, but they'll be facing a very different enemy than they expect. What do you mean? Stone smiled, and Helena realized she was seeing something she'd never noticed before in career military officers. It wasn't just confidence or determination, it was the absolute certainty of someone who knew their enemy had already lost. Ambassador, the Zalanian Empire just learned that superior technology doesn't guarantee victory. They're about to learn why every species in the galaxy should be very careful before they decide to hurt human civilians. Because of the Marines? Because of what Marines represent. Stone's expression grew serious. Every civilization has soldiers, Ambassador. Most have pretty good ones. But Marines aren't just soldiers. They're the promise that no matter how bad things get, no matter how impossible the odds, somebody will always be willing to walk into hell to set things right. Helena looked at the tactical displays showing the positions of the remaining Zalanian ships. Davidson's teams were still aboard 17 of them, systematically dismantling the alien fleet from within. And if more alien fleets come? General Stone's smile was cold. Then we'll remind the galaxy why it was a mistake to make humanity angry. Staff Sergeant Elena Rodriguez had been aboard the Zalanian command ship for 36 hours, and she was getting tired of being underestimated. The aliens still didn't understand how humans had infiltrated their vessels. Their security systems were designed to detect energy weapons and advanced technology, not a Marine with a combat knife and an intimate knowledge of shipboard systems. Rodriguez had spent the last day and a half learning their routines, mapping their ship, and preparing for the kind of chaos that only Marines could deliver. She pressed herself against the ventilation shaft's walls as another patrol of Zalanian guards passed beneath her position. The aliens moved in groups of 4, their crystalline skin reflecting the ship's harsh blue lighting. Each carried what looked like an energy rifle, though Rodriguez had noticed they handled the weapons with the casual familiarity of beings who'd never actually had to fight for their lives. That was about to change. Rodriguez checked her chronometer. In 17 minutes, her team would begin the synchronized assault on the ship's primary systems. Corporal Jackson was positioned near the power distribution center. Lance Corporal Kim had infiltrated the communications array. Sergeant Williams had somehow managed to reach the ship's weapon control systems. They were 4 Marines against a crew of 300 aliens aboard a vessel that could destroy Earth's largest city with a single shot. By any reasonable measure, they were hopelessly outnumbered and outgunned. Rodriguez smiled grimly. Marines had been facing those kinds of odds for centuries. Her earpiece crackled with Jackson's voice, transmitted on a frequency the aliens couldn't detect. "Sergeant, I've got eyes on the main power coupling. It's bigger than we thought." "How much bigger?" "Think building-sized instead of room-sized. This thing powers half the ship." Rodriguez frowned. The original plan had been to overload the power systems gradually, making the sabotage look like equipment failure. If the power coupling was as large as Jackson described, a sudden overload might destroy the entire ship immediately. That would mean no prisoners for interrogation, no captured technology for Earth's scientists to study, no proof of what the aliens had done to humanity's colonies. On the other hand, it would mean one less ship capable of killing human civilians. "Sergeant?" Jackson's voice carried a question. Rodriguez thought about the colony ships. 60,000 people, including 8,000 children, vaporized in seconds because they'd been in the wrong place when aliens decided to demonstrate their power. She thought about Luna City, where rescue teams were still pulling bodies from the damaged sectors. "Do it," she said quietly. "Understood." Rodriguez began moving through the ventilation system toward her own target, the ship's navigation control center. If Jackson was about to overload the main power system, she wanted to make sure the ship couldn't maneuver away from Earth before the explosion took effect. The navigation center was located at the ship's core, protected by multiple security barriers and monitoring systems. Under normal circumstances, infiltrating such a heavily defended position would require weeks of planning and specialized equipment. Rodriguez had neither. What she had was 30 minutes of observation time and the kind of adaptability that came from 20 years of Marine training. The aliens' security systems were sophisticated but predictable. They relied on technological solutions, energy barriers, sensor networks, automated defense systems. What they didn't have were guards who understood human psychology. Rodriguez waited until the patrol rotation brought a group of Zalanian security officers near her position, then triggered a small thermal charge she'd prepared from components salvaged throughout the ship. The explosion wasn't large enough to cause serious damage, but it was loud enough to draw attention. As the alien guards rushed toward the distraction, Rodriguez dropped from the ventilation shaft directly into the navigation center. The room was larger than she'd expected, filled with control stations that hummed with alien technology. Crystalline displays showed star charts and sensor readings in languages she couldn't read, but the basic layout was familiar. Ships were ships, whether they were built by humans or aliens. She located what appeared to be the main navigation console and began examining its structure. The aliens had designed their systems for efficiency and redundancy, with multiple backup controls and safety interlocks. Rodriguez systematically began disconnecting those safety systems. "Rodriguez, this is Williams. I'm in position at the Weapons Control Center. Copy. Status? These weapons are incredible. The targeting systems alone are more advanced than anything Earth has produced, but Sergeant..." Williams paused. "They're currently locked onto population centers on Earth. All of them." Rodriguez felt ice form in her stomach. "What do you mean, all of them?" "Every major city, every orbital station, every settlement. They've got firing solutions programmed for the complete sterilization of human civilization." The implications hit Rodriguez like a physical blow. The aliens hadn't come to conquer humanity. They'd come to exterminate it entirely. The attacks on the colony ships and Luna City weren't demonstrations of power. They were the opening moves in genocide. "Sergeant?" Williams' voice carried tension. "What are your orders?" Rodriguez looked around the navigation center, weighing options she'd never expected to consider. If she completed her sabotage of the navigation systems and Jackson overloaded the power core, this ship would be destroyed. But there were still 16 other Zalanian vessels in Earth orbit, each one apparently programmed to obliterate human civilization. Williams, can you reprogram their targeting systems? Maybe, but it would take hours. This technology is way beyond anything I've trained on. Rodriguez checked her chronometer. Jackson would initiate the power overload in 8 minutes. What about disabling them? I can try to damage the targeting computers, but if I screw up, the weapons might fire automatically. 8 minutes to decide the fate of human civilization. Rodriguez had made difficult decisions before, but nothing approaching this magnitude. She thought about her training, about the principles that had guided Marines for centuries. Williams, disable those weapons, whatever it takes. Understood. Rodriguez turned back to the navigation systems, working faster now. If Williams could disable the weapons on this ship, they might be able to capture it intact. A functioning alien vessel would give Earth's military planners crucial intelligence about Zalanian technology and tactics. That assumed, of course, that they could somehow take control of a ship with 300 alien crew members. Her earpiece crackled again. This time it was Kim from the communications array. Sergeant, I'm picking up transmissions from the other ships. They're receiving new orders from the Zalanian home fleet. What kind of orders? I can't translate the language, but the transmission patterns match what we've seen before when they prepared to attack civilian targets. Rodriguez felt the weight of impossible decisions pressing down on her. 16 alien ships, each capable of destroying Earth's major population centers. 4 Marines aboard one vessel, trying to prevent genocide with improvised weapons and determination. Jackson, abort the power overload, she ordered suddenly. Sergeant, we need this ship functional. If we can capture it, we might be able to stop the other ships from completing their mission. How exactly do we capture a ship with 300 hostiles aboard? Rodriguez smiled grimly. The same way Marines have always captured things, Jackson. We convince them they don't want to fight us anymore. The plan that formed in Rodriguez's mind would have been considered insane by any reasonable military standard. It involved taking control of the ship's internal systems, isolating the alien crew in specific sections, and gradually forcing their surrender through superior knowledge of shipboard operations. It was the kind of plan that could only work if the enemy had never encountered opponents who understood improvisation. Rodriguez began her systematic takeover of the navigation systems, not to destroy them, but to control them. The aliens had designed their technology to be operated by their own species, with interface systems that responded to specific harmonic frequencies and crystalline contact points. But underlying those alien interfaces were basic principles of physics and engineering that any competent technician could understand. Rodriguez wasn't just a technician. She was a Marine who'd spent 2 decades learning to operate unfamiliar equipment under pressure. Williams, status on the weapons? I've managed to lock them out of the targeting computers, but the aliens are trying to override the lockout. I can probably hold them off for an hour, maybe 2. Kim, can you take control of their communication systems? Already working on it. Their technology is different, but the basic principles are the same as our systems. Give me 20 minutes. Jackson, I need you to get to the ship's environmental controls. Environmental controls? These aliens breathe a different atmospheric mixture than we do. If we can alter the ship's environment gradually, we might be able to force them into specific sections where we can contain them. Rodriguez could hear the grin in Jackson's voice. I like the way you think, Sergeant. The next 3 hours transformed the Zalanian command ship into something resembling controlled chaos. Rodriguez maintained control of navigation while slowly altering the ship's course to move it away from the other alien vessels. Kim gained access to the communications array and began broadcasting false orders to confuse the enemy coordination. Jackson systematically modified the environmental systems to make most of the ship uncomfortable for alien physiology while maintaining habitable conditions in selected areas. Williams turned the ship's defensive systems inward, using internal security measures to herd the alien crew into the sections Jackson had designated as safe zones. The aliens initially responded with confusion rather than alarm. Their technology was so reliable that equipment malfunctions were virtually unknown. When systems began failing in apparently random patterns, they assumed the problems were temporary. By the time they realized they were under attack, Rodriguez's team had effective control of the ship's primary functions. "Sergeant, we've got them contained in sections C through F," Jackson reported. "Environmental conditions in the rest of the ship are now toxic to their physiology." "Any casualties?" "Negative. They're smart enough to retreat to areas with breathable atmosphere." Rodriguez nodded. Marines were trained to accomplish their missions, but they were also trained to minimize unnecessary killing. The aliens had committed genocide against human civilians, but that didn't mean every individual alien deserved to die. "Kim, can you establish communication with the alien crew?" "Already done. I've tapped into their internal communications. They're pretty confused about what's happening." "Good. Patch me through." Rodriguez activated the communication system and spoke in the same calm, professional tone she'd used to address any military opponent. "Attention, Zelanian crew. This is Staff Sergeant Elena Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Forces. Your ship is now under human control." The response came quickly in the harmonic tones of the alien language. Then a translation appeared on Kim's display. "Impossible. Primitive species cannot operate Zelanian technology. Your weapon systems are locked down. Your navigation is under our control. Your life support is configured to maintain human environmental standards. I'd say we're operating your technology just fine." Another pause. Then, "What are your demands?" Rodriguez had been thinking about this moment since she'd first learned about the aliens' plans for genocide. "What did you demand from beings who'd just attempted to exterminate your entire species?" "First, you will transmit orders to your fleet to cease all hostile actions against human targets. Second, you will provide complete information about Zelanian Empire military capabilities and intentions. Third, you will surrender this vessel and its crew to Earth authorities." "Unacceptable. The Zelanian Empire does not surrender to inferior species." Rodriguez checked the tactical display that Kim had managed to activate. The other 16 Zelanian ships were still in Earth orbit, their weapons trained on human population centers. Her team had neutralized one ship, but the threat to humanity remained. "Let me explain your situation more clearly," Rodriguez said. 4 human Marines have taken control of your most advanced warship. We've done this using primitive technology and tactics your empire apparently has never encountered. That makes you the inferior species. You cannot hold this vessel indefinitely. The Third Fleet will recapture it. The Third Fleet is about to have other problems. Rodriguez activated her communication link to Earth. "This is Staff Sergeant Rodriguez aboard the captured Zelanian command ship. We have secured the vessel and taken the crew prisoner. Request immediate tactical coordination for the remaining enemy ships." General Stone's voice crackled through the communication system. "Outstanding work, Sergeant. What's the status of the other ships?" "They're still in attack position, but we've gained access to their communication frequencies and tactical coordination systems. Recommend deploying additional Marine teams for boarding operations." "Negative, Sergeant. We don't have enough personnel for 16 simultaneous boarding operations." Rodriguez smiled. "Sir, we don't need 16 teams. We need one very loud demonstration." "Explain." "These aliens have never encountered asymmetric warfare. They think in terms of technological superiority and overwhelming force, but they just watched 4 Marines capture their command ship. I recommend we use their own communication systems to broadcast that information to their entire fleet." There was a pause from Earth. "You want to conduct psychological warfare against aliens?" "Sir, fear is universal. These beings just learned that their technological advantages don't guarantee victory. Let's make sure they understand exactly what that means." General Stone's approval came through clearly. "Proceed with your recommendation, Sergeant." Rodriguez turned to Kim. "Patch us into the fleet-wide communication frequency. All ships, maximum distribution." "Ready, Sergeant." Rodriguez activated the transmission, knowing that her next words would be heard aboard every Zelanian vessel in the system. "Attention! Zelanian Third Fleet! This is Staff Sergeant Elena Rodriguez. I'm speaking to you from your own command ship, which is now under human control." The response was immediate. Multiple voices speaking in agitated harmonics, as ship commanders tried to verify what they were hearing. "Your Dominator Kylex and his crew are currently our prisoners," Rodriguez continued. "This vessel's weapons and navigation systems have been completely compromised by 4 human Marines using nothing but standard infantry equipment and tactical knowledge." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "You came to our system believing that technological superiority guaranteed victory. You targeted our civilians because you thought we couldn't retaliate effectively. You were wrong about both assumptions." Kim's translation systems showed increasingly agitated responses from the other ships. Some commanders were demanding verification. Others were calling for immediate rescue operations. A few were asking for clarification about human military capabilities. "Here's what happens next," Rodriguez announced. "Every ship that immediately withdraws to a distance of 1 million kilometers from Earth will be allowed to leave this system unharmed. Any ship that maintains an attack position will be boarded and captured by Marine assault teams." "Impossible!" The response came from multiple ships. "Humans lack the technology for such operations." Rodriguez checked the tactical display. The other Marine teams throughout the system had been monitoring the situation, and she could see new movement signatures near several of the alien vessels. Colonel Davidson's people had been busy. "Attention Zelanian vessels designation 7, 12, and 18, she announced. "Please check your internal sensor readings." The pause that followed was longer this time. When responses came through, the alien voices carried a new tone, one that might have been fear. "How? How are your personnel aboard our ships?" "The same way we took this one," Rodriguez replied calmly. "Marines adapt. We improvise. We overcome obstacles that you didn't know existed. And right now, we're very motivated to make sure you never threaten human civilians again." The negotiation that followed took 4 hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. Faced with the reality that human Marines could infiltrate and capture their most advanced warships, the Zelanian commanders chose tactical withdrawal over continued fighting. Rodriguez watched from the command ship's bridge as the alien fleet slowly moved to the designated safe distance. Earth's sensors confirmed that all weapons had been powered down and targeting systems deactivated. "Sergeant!" General Stone's voice came through the communication system. "Outstanding work. How do you feel about taking a captured alien warship home?" Rodriguez looked around the bridge at the amazing technology that Kim had managed to figure out, at the tactical systems that Williams was still studying, at the engineering marvels that Jackson had somehow learned to control. "Sir, I think Earth's going to be very interested in what we've learned up here." "Copy that. And Sergeant?" "Yes, sir?" "The aliens were right about one thing. This was just the first engagement. Intelligence reports suggest the Zelanian Empire is mobilizing a much larger fleet." Rodriguez nodded, unsurprised. Empires didn't usually accept defeat gracefully, especially when that defeat came from species they considered inferior. "Sir, how long until they arrive?" "Best estimates suggest 6 to 8 months. Rodriguez looked at the alien technology surrounding her, thinking about what Earth's engineers and scientists could learn from it. 6 months to study advanced weapons, propulsion systems, and defensive technologies. 6 months to train more Marines in the tactics that had just proven effective against supposedly superior enemies. "Sir, I think 6 months should be plenty of time." "For what, Sergeant?" Rodriguez smiled, thinking about the look on Dominator Kylex's face when 4 Marines had taken control of his ship. "To teach the galaxy that humanity doesn't surrender. We fight back, and we're very good at learning from our enemies." The captured Zelanian command ship began its journey back to Earth. carrying technology that would transform humanity's understanding of warfare among the stars. More importantly, it carried proof that technological superiority meant nothing when facing opponents who refused to accept defeat. The Zilanian Empire had made a fundamental error in targeting human civilians. They'd awakened something that their advanced civilization had never encountered, a species that considered the protection of innocence worth any sacrifice, no matter how impossible the odds. They were about to learn exactly what that meant. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the space around Jupiter's orbit fill with enemy contacts. 6 months ago, she'd been commander of Earth's small patrol fleet. Today, she commanded the most advanced human military force in history. Admiral, sensors are detecting 437 alien vessels, reported Lieutenant Commander Park from the tactical station. They're maintaining formation at 3 million kilometers and advancing slowly. Chen nodded, studying the holographic display that showed the approaching Zilanian fleet. Each ship was larger than the ones they'd faced 6 months ago, and intelligence suggested they carried more advanced weapons and defensive systems. The aliens had not come to negotiate. "Status of our forces?" Chen asked. "All ships report ready, Admiral. Marine assault teams are standing by for boarding operations." Chen smiled grimly. Earth's fleet had grown considerably since the first alien attack. The captured Zilanian command ship had provided a treasure trove of technological insights, allowing human engineers to upgrade existing vessels and construct new ones with hybrid human-alien technology. More importantly, it had given Earth's military planners 6 months to prepare for exactly this situation. "Communications, patch me through to all ships," Chen ordered. "Channel open, Admiral." Chen activated the fleet-wide communication system, knowing her words would reach not only Earth's defenders, but also the approaching alien fleet. "This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. 6 months ago, the Zilanian Empire murdered over 100,000 human civilians in an unprovoked attack on our colony ships and lunar settlement." She paused, watching the tactical display as the alien fleet continued its steady advance. Today, they've returned with a larger force, apparently believing that superior numbers will succeed where superior technology failed. They're about to learn the difference between conquest and war. The communication system crackled with responses from Earth's ship commanders. These were no longer the patrol captains and mining vessel operators who'd faced the first alien attack. 6 months of intensive training with captured alien technology had transformed Earth's naval forces into something that would have been unrecognizable to the previous generation of human military leaders. "All ships, prepare for Operation Thunderstrike," Chen announced. General Marcus Stone's voice came through the command frequency from the War College on Luna. "Admiral, latest intelligence suggests the aliens are expecting a conventional engagement. They've positioned their largest ships at the front of their formation." "Copy that, General. They're thinking in terms of battle lines and focused firepower?" "Exactly. Our analysis indicates they've never encountered distributed warfare tactics." Chen nodded. The aliens' approach to space combat appeared to be based on the same technological superiority that had served them for centuries. Massive ships with overwhelming firepower, arranged in formations designed to concentrate their advantages. What they hadn't anticipated was facing an enemy that had spent 6 months studying their weaknesses. "Colonel Davidson, are your teams in position?" Chen asked. "Affirmative, Admiral. We have infiltration units ready to deploy." "Outstanding. Begin Operation Ghostwalk." Throughout the human fleet, specially modified ships began launching what appeared to be routine patrol craft. To alien sensors, they would register as small reconnaissance vehicles, hardly worth the attention of ships designed to destroy entire planets. What the aliens couldn't detect was that each patrol craft carried a full marine assault team equipped with 6 months' worth of technological improvements and tactical innovations. Staff Sergeant Elena Rodriguez commanded the lead infiltration unit aboard what had once been a mining vessel, but now carried some of the most advanced stealth technology in human space. Her team had volunteered to return to alien ships, this time with better equipment and a much clearer understanding of what they were facing. "Team leaders, check in," she said into her communication system. "Team 2 ready," came Sergeant Williams's voice. "Team 3 ready," reported Sergeant Kim. "Team 4 standing by," announced Sergeant Jackson. Rodriguez smiled. Her original team from the captured command ship had all volunteered to lead their own infiltration units. 6 months of studying alien technology and training with captured equipment had transformed them from talented Marines into something approaching alien warfare specialists. "Remember, the objective is not to destroy ships," Rodriguez announced to all teams. "We want to capture them intact. These aliens came here to finish what they started 6 months ago. Let's show them why that was a mistake." The first phase of Operation Ghostwalk proceeded exactly as planned. Human infiltration craft approached the alien fleet using the same techniques that had proven successful during the first encounter, but enhanced with 6 months of technological development and tactical refinement. The aliens' defensive measures were impressive but predictable. Their sensor systems were designed to detect threats they understood: energy weapons, large vessels, conventional military signatures. They were not designed to identify human Marines using hybrid technology and unconventional approach vectors. Rodriguez's team reached their target, one of the alien fleet's command vessels, without detection. As her Marines began their infiltration procedures, she monitored communications from the other teams. "Team 3 is aboard Target 7, Kim reported. "Team 4 has reached Target 12, Jackson announced. "Team 2 is infiltrating Target 4, Williams confirmed. Rodriguez checked her tactical display. 16 infiltration teams targeting the alien fleet's most critical vessels. If everything went according to plan, Earth's forces would gain control of the enemy command structure within the next 4 hours. But Rodriguez had learned that plans rarely survived contact with the enemy unchanged. "Sergeant Rodriguez, this is Admiral Chen. We're detecting unusual activity from the alien fleet. They appear to be implementing new defensive measures." Rodriguez frowned. "What kind of defensive measures, Admiral?" "They're sweeping their ships with some kind of internal sensor system. It looks like they've learned from our previous encounter." Rodriguez felt a chill run through her. The aliens had indeed learned. 6 months of analyzing their defeat had apparently taught them to look for threats they'd never considered before. "All teams, be advised that enemy forces may be conducting internal security sweeps," she announced. "Adapt accordingly." The response from Sergeant Williams came back immediately. "Already detected the sweeps, Rodriguez. But these aliens still don't understand how Marines think." Rodriguez smiled despite the added danger. Williams was right. The aliens could implement new security measures, but they were still thinking in terms of technological solutions. They were looking for devices and signatures, not for humans who'd learned to move through alien environments like they'd been born to them. "Team leaders, modify approach to Protocol 7, Rodriguez ordered. Protocol 7 was something they'd developed during their 6 months of training with captured alien technology. Instead of avoiding the alien security systems, they would use those systems against their operators. Rodriguez led her team through the alien ship's corridors, no longer hiding from the security sweeps, but instead timing their movements to coincide with the scans. To the alien monitoring systems, the Marines would appear as normal crew members moving through routine duties. The tactic worked perfectly until Rodriguez reached the ship's command center and discovered that the aliens had implemented one more surprise. "Admiral, this is Rodriguez. We have a problem." "What kind of problem, Sergeant?" "The command centers are occupied by what appears to be a new type of alien." They're smaller than the standard Zelanian warriors, but their technology is more advanced. Rodriguez studied the beings through her reconnaissance equipment. Unlike the crystalline Zelanians they'd fought before, these aliens had metallic skin and moved with precise mechanical coordination. Their weapons and equipment appeared to be integrated directly into their bodies. "Admiral, I think we're looking at a different species entirely." Admiral Chen's voice carried concern. "Can you proceed with the mission?" Rodriguez evaluated the situation. Her team was trained to capture Zelanian command ships using tactics developed against Zelanian physiology and psychology. These new aliens were an unknown quantity with unknown capabilities. On the other hand, they were still aboard a ship that followed the same basic engineering principles as the vessels her teams had successfully captured before. "Admiral, we're adapting the plan. Instead of capturing the command center, we're going to capture the ship around it." "Explain." "These new aliens are in the command center, but the ship's primary systems are still distributed throughout the vessel. If we can control life support, navigation, weapons, and propulsion from their secondary locations, we can effectively strand them in the command center." Rodriguez activated her team communication system. "All units, modify objectives. We're implementing a distributed capture protocol. Take control of ship systems from their auxiliary positions rather than their primary control centers." The next 2 hours transformed Rodriguez's understanding of what Marines could accomplish when they stopped thinking like conventional military forces. Her teams moved through the alien ship not as invaders, but as the new operators of its systems. Jackson's team took control of the propulsion systems, learning to operate alien engines that could accelerate faster than anything Earth had ever built. Kim's team captured the ship's sensors and communications, gaining access to the alien fleet's tactical coordination. Williams' team secured the weapons systems, discovering that the ship's armaments were powerful enough to destroy multiple targets simultaneously. Rodriguez led her team to the ship's central engineering section, where she began the systematic takeover of the vessel's life support and environmental controls. "Admiral, this is Rodriguez. We have effective control of the ship's primary systems." "Outstanding. What about the unknown aliens in the command center?" "They're trapped there, but they're still trying to regain control. These beings are more technologically sophisticated than the Zelanians. They're attempting to override our lockouts using systems we don't understand." Rodriguez checked the status displays that Kim had managed to activate. The aliens in the command center were indeed trying to retake their ship, and their technology was more advanced than anything her teams had encountered. But they were still thinking like technologically superior beings facing inferior opponents. "Admiral, I'm implementing Protocol Chaos." "Protocol Chaos?" "Something we developed during training. If these aliens want to play a technological game, we'll make them play a human game instead." Rodriguez activated her team's communication system. "All units, initiate controlled system failures throughout the ship. Make it look like random equipment malfunctions." The plan was simple, but effective. Instead of maintaining perfect control over the alien ship's systems, Rodriguez's teams began introducing seemingly random failures in non-critical systems. Environmental controls would fluctuate slightly, navigation sensors would briefly lose accuracy, weapons targeting would require periodic recalibration. To the advanced aliens in the command center, these appeared to be exactly the kind of technical problems that occurred when primitive beings tried to operate sophisticated equipment. What they didn't realize was that each failure was carefully designed to force them into predictable response patterns. "Admiral, the unknown aliens are leaving the command center," Rodriguez reported. "They're sending technical teams to repair the apparent system failures." "Copy that. Are you ready to proceed with ship capture?" "Affirmative. My teams are in position to take control of the command center as soon as it's unoccupied." Rodriguez watched through the ship's internal sensors as the metallic aliens dispersed throughout the vessel, trying to repair systems that were failing in ways their technology couldn't explain. As the command center emptied, Her team moved into position. "Team leaders, execute final phase," Rodriguez announced. The takeover of the alien command center proceeded faster than Rodriguez had expected. The advanced aliens had designed their systems for efficiency and technological superiority, but they hadn't anticipated opponents who understood that the most sophisticated technology was vulnerable to the simplest tactics. Within 30 minutes, Rodriguez's teams had complete control of one of the alien fleet's most advanced warships. "Admiral, ship capture is complete. We have prisoners from both alien species and full access to their technology." "Excellent work, Sergeant. How many other ships have been captured?" Rodriguez checked the tactical communication system. Reports were coming in from infiltration teams throughout the alien fleet. "Preliminary count suggests 14 successful captures, Admiral. 3 teams are still in progress." "Outstanding. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 of Operation Thunderstrike was the element that the aliens had never anticipated. Instead of fighting the captured ships, Earth's forces began using them. Admiral Chen watched from the UES Retribution as captured alien vessels slowly turned their weapons on their former fleetmates. The psychological impact on the remaining alien ships was immediate and devastating. "Admiral, we're receiving communication requests from multiple enemy vessels," reported the communication officer. "Put them through." The transmission that came through carried the harmonic tones of standard Zilanian communication, but the underlying emotion was unmistakably panic. "Human forces. This is Fleet Commander Zethak of the 4th Battle Group. We demand the immediate return of our captured vessels." Chen smiled. "Commander Zethak, your ships are now under Earth Defense Force control. Your crews are prisoners of war, and your vessels are being operated by human personnel." "Impossible. Our technology cannot be operated by primitive species." "Commander, I'm looking at a tactical display that shows 17 of your ships under human control. I'd say we're operating your technology just fine." There was a long pause before the alien response came. "What are your terms?" Chen had been preparing for this moment for 6 months. Earth's leadership had spent considerable time discussing what demands to make when they inevitably faced this situation. "Complete withdrawal of all Zilanian Empire forces from this star system. Immediate cessation of all hostile actions against human targets. Full disclosure of Empire plans for future aggression against humanity." "Unacceptable. Commander, you currently have 420 ships remaining. We have captured 17 of your most advanced vessels and demonstrated that we can board and capture others at will. Your choice is simple. Accept our terms or lose your entire fleet." Chen activated the fleet communication system. "All captured vessels, target the nearest enemy ship with non-lethal weapons. Demonstrate our capabilities." The 17 captured alien ships simultaneously fired on their former fleetmates, using weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. The psychological impact of watching their own technology being used against them was everything Chen had hoped for. "Commander Zethak, you now have 403 operational ships. Would you like to continue this demonstration?" The alien fleet's response came not through communication but through action. Ship after ship began powering down weapons and dropping defensive shields in the universal signal of surrender. "Admiral," the tactical officer reported, "the entire enemy fleet is signaling surrender." Chen nodded, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and exhaustion. 6 months ago, Earth had been helpless against a handful of alien ships. Today, they'd forced the surrender of an entire enemy fleet using tactics that no alien civilization had ever encountered. "Communications. Open a channel to Earth." "Channel open." "Admiral." "This is Admiral Chen reporting to Earth Command. The Zilanian 4th Battle Group has surrendered. The immediate threat to human space has been neutralized." General Stone's voice came through clearly from Luna. "Outstanding work, Admiral. What's the status of captured technology?" We have 17 intact alien warships with full technical documentation. Our engineering teams estimate it will take months just to catalog everything we've acquired. And the prisoners? Chen looked at the reports from the Marine teams. Over 3,000 alien military personnel from 2 different species. Colonel Davidson's intelligence teams are already beginning interrogations. Chen paused, thinking about the broader implications of what they'd accomplished. Earth had not only survived an attempt at genocide, but had captured the fleet sent to complete it. Humanity now possessed alien technology that would revolutionize space travel, weapons systems, and defensive capabilities. More importantly, they demonstrated to any alien civilization that might be watching that humanity was not a primitive species to be casually exterminated. Admiral, Stone continued, preliminary reports suggest the Zalanian Empire is mobilizing additional fleets. Chen was not surprised. Empires rarely accepted major defeats gracefully, especially when those defeats came from species they'd previously considered beneath notice. General, how long do we have? Intelligence estimates 18 to 24 months before the next major alien offensive. Chen looked around the bridge of the UES Retribution, thinking about how much Earth's capabilities had grown in just 6 months of studying captured alien technology. With 17 captured ships and thousands of prisoners to interrogate, humanity would have unprecedented opportunities to prepare for the next phase of the conflict. General, I think 18 months should be enough time to show the galaxy exactly what happens when someone tries to commit genocide against humanity. What do you have in mind, Admiral? Chen smiled, watching as the surrendered alien fleet began the process of transferring their prisoners and technology to Earth control. We're going to make sure the Zalanian Empire never forgets why it was a mistake to attack human civilians. 6 months ago, Staff Sergeant Elena Rodriguez had been aboard a single alien ship with 3 other Marines, fighting to prevent the extermination of human civilization. Today, she stood on the bridge of an alien command vessel that she and her team now operated better than its original crew. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity didn't just fight back when threatened. They adapted, they learned, and they made sure their enemies regretted their choices. The Zalanian Empire had killed over 100,000 human civilians and attempted to commit complete genocide against humanity. Earth's response had been measured, professional, and absolutely devastating. Now they had 18 months to prepare for the next alien fleet. 18 months to study captured technology, train new Marine units, and develop tactics that no alien civilization had ever encountered. Rodriguez looked out at the surrendered alien fleet and smiled. The next time aliens decided to threaten human civilians, they would face an Earth that was ready for them. And that, Rodriguez reflected, was exactly how Marines liked it.